The deafening roar of a Harley-Davidson echoed through the streets as Jake Blaze Turner sped past the city limits, leaving behind a trail of dust and disapproving glares. He lived for the thrill, the rebellion, and the brotherhood of his biker gang, the Iron Fangs. They weren't criminals, but they weren't saints either. Jake had built his life on defiance. Orphaned at a young age, he bounced between foster homes, never feeling like he belonged, until he found the Iron Fangs. They became his family, his shield against the world that had abandoned him. One evening, during a ride through a deserted highway, the gang decided to stop at a rundown gas station. That's where Jake's life took a turn he never saw coming. As Jake stepped off his bike, he noticed a frail old man struggling to fix his car. The gang laughed as they walked past, but something made Jake stop. The old man, dressed in tattered clothes, wiped the sweat off his forehead and sighed heavily. "Need a hand?" Jake found himself asking, surprising even himself. The old man looked up and gave a weak smile. "If you don't mind, son, been at this for hours." Jake knelt beside him, working on the engine with skilled hands. As he tightened the last bolt, the old man placed a gentle hand on Jake's shoulder. "You remind me of someone I once knew," Jake chuckled. "Yeah? A troublemaker?" The old man shook his head. "Number A warrior, someone who had fire in his soul but had to learn where to direct it." Jake scoffed, but the man's words stuck with him. Before he could ask more, the old man handed him a worn-out piece of paper. "When you're ready, come find me." Jake pocketed it and rejoined his gang. That night, while the others partied, he pulled out the paper. It was an address. Curiosity gnawed at him. Against all logic, he rode out the next day to find the man. The address led him to a small community center in a rough neighborhood. Inside, the air was thick with tension and hope. The old man, now in a clean but simple suit, was addressing a group of young boys. Lost souls, much like Jake had once been. "This world will try to tell you who you are," the old man said. "It will beat you down, make you believe you're not worth anything. But strength isn't about fighting. It's about rising every time you fall." Jake stood frozen. He had spent his life fighting the world, proving himself through rebellion. But here was this man, teaching these kids to fight through resilience, not rage. After the session, the old man approached him. "Didn't think you'd come," he said with a knowing smile. "Who are you?" Jake finally asked. The old man sighed. "Once I was just like you, angry, alone. I fought battles that weren't mine to fight. But someone gave me a chance, and I chose to change." Over the next few weeks, Jake kept coming back. He helped fix things around the center, taught the kids how to ride bikes safely, and without realizing it, he became their role model. The gang noticed his absence and weren't pleased. "Brother, what's up with you?" growled Tank, the gang leader. "You going soft?" Jake knew he had a choice. Go back to the reckless life or step into something bigger than himself. The real test came one night when a local gang tried to shake down the community center. Jake, seeing the fear in the kids' eyes, stood between them and danger. "Walk away," Jake warned the gang leader, a man he knew from his past. The gang scoffed, but Jake's presence, his reputation, made them hesitate. They left, but not before promising to return. Jake knew he couldn't fight violence with violence. The next day, the kids found out about Jake's past. He expected them to turn away, but instead they looked at him with admiration. "You're proof that we can change," one boy said. "If you can, maybe we can too." That hit harder than any punch he had ever taken. Jake officially left the Iron Fangs, despite the backlash. His brothers saw it as betrayal, but he saw it as redemption. With the old man's guidance, Jake turned the community center into a haven for troubled youth. He taught them skills, discipline, and most importantly, self-worth. Years later, at a charity event for the center, Jake stood before a packed audience. Dressed in a crisp suit, his tattoos still visible, he looked out at the young faces, full of hope. "I once thought strength was about how fast I could ride, how hard I could hit," he admitted. "But real strength is knowing when to stop running and start standing for something greater than yourself." As the crowd erupted into applause, Jake's eyes met the old man's. He nodded in approval. Little did Jake know, the old man had once been a feared gang leader too, and just like someone had saved him, he had now saved Jake. And so, the cycle of transformation continued, one lost soul at a time.